Hello and welcome once again to Haylett RV of Coldwater, Michigan. Ladies and gentlemen, this new RV, a 264 BHJ flight, will be leaving us very shortly here. And normally, anytime we sell any new RV, at no additional charge to our customers, we actually go through and show folks basic functions, operations, or if they're an experienced user, something a little more advanced on their RV. However, during this time, given Michigan's current restrictions, we are unable to welcome folks into our facility to do that, and things need to be done in a curbside manner. So, getting creative, we thought we'd put some basic information together on video. If you are the new owner of this RV, first of all, thank you, congratulations. You're fine, Deb. They're not used to being on camera, so they're a little shy. What we're doing here, actually, right now, Miss Deb and Mr. Dwayne, we are going through, we're cleaning this RV, we're doing final quality inspection and checks for these folks, and again, we do those things at no additional charge on every new RV that we sell at Haylett. Normally, we'd have you here to show you how this thing works. So back to what I was saying, if you're the owner and you have specific questions after this very generic video, call us. If you have specific questions and you're not the person who bought this RV, then remember, we're happy to give you all the specific information in the world on how it operates when you become a Haylett RV client, just like these folks did. So I'm going to give Deb and Dwayne some time to finish up here. Like you can see, he's quality checking some power outlets and Deb's cleaning the inside. And when they're all done, we'll go through and see how she runs. All right, well, I finished lunch before Dwayne. This is not a complicated trailer. I think I'm just going to start going. We're going to do it live here. That's sort of what I do anyway. We always like to begin on your way in the trailer because it just sort of makes the most sense. Kind of like, you know, Mary Poppins started from the very beginning. We got our stable steps here. It's pretty self-explanatory. You pop the pin, you adjust the legs to the point where the steps are basically level. The legs can be different lengths. The one thing you want to make sure, you want to really make sure that this threshold meets up with that one as flushly as possible so that the bottom of this door doesn't clip the corner of that step. And you see that you've got a little clearance there, but you're threading the needle a little bit. It is okay, by the way, if these steps go wiggle just a little bit as you're walking in and out. And when you are putting those steps up and down, it is a really good idea to make sure you have that door all the way open so that the little clip right here that kind of holds it in the doorway when you flip the steps up doesn't catch this, you know, screen door and kind of bash it all up a little bit. And as we step in, we're greeted with a couple safety items. First of which is on the left, the fire extinguisher. It's pretty straightforward. You pull the pin, you push the button, you squeeze the trigger. That being said, folks, it's like cough medicine. I hope you never need it. And frankly, you're probably not qualified to be intelligently fighting a fire, especially in a panic scenario, especially in a bunkhouse like this where you got family. If there is ever a fire, get out. Just get out. Ignore the fire extinguisher. Just get out and call for help. That's really what you should be doing. Now over here we have our like carbon monoxide detector, and this thing is a little bit different in terms of how it gets powered and whatnot versus your fire alarm, your smoke alarm that's on the ceiling. So this actually gets its power from the 12-volt battery that's on the tongue, or to get power from the converter if there's no battery on the tongue and you're plugged into park power. That being said, you should pretty much always have a battery on the tongue. If this thing starts to pick up carbon monoxide, which is something that you can't detect as a human being, it will start chirping at you. If you wake up at night and this thing is just going crazy, get out of the camper. First and foremost, get out of the camper. After all the human beings and pets and things are outside of the camper, go up front and turn the propane bottles off, you know, close the valves. We'll show you how to do that in a little bit. And when you do get out of the camper, leave your door open so the thing can air out. And you want to do that until this thing quits chirping, okay? Now, it is possible that, like, these things have a shelf life. They have a little filter that samples the air quality, and it's possible that over time, that filter, you know, gets used up and it needs to be replaced. If it starts chirping consistently and you can't figure out why, it's probably because the unit itself just needs replaced. It's just 2 screws, 2 wires, no big deal. The other side of our safety equipment is going to be up here. That's just a normal 9-volt powered smoke detector. So that has its own battery, whereas the CO detector feeds off of the you know, camper power. One other thing to note, most of the time if that thing does start chirping, it's usually thankfully not, that'll also detect propane gas leaks, but you can actually kind of usually smell that by your nose. But if you're sleeping, this could still help you. But Usually carbon monoxide backflowing into the RV is because bugs or something covered your furnace or water heater vents outside your propane burning appliances. And we'll show you where to put some bug screens on the camper to help prevent that if you're so inclined. Let's see over here. We've got our control panel, well, for like our monitor panel, rather. If you just walk over here, you can take a look. You can see how much battery power, how much water is in the tanks, just pushing these associated buttons. Then down here, we have water pump, which is active right now. We've got the 12-volt water pump active because we don't actually have like a spigot pushing water to the camper. That's another thing. If you're at a campground and you're hooked up to the campground's water system, you do not use the water pump. You don't fill the freshwater tank. You only use the pump in the freshwater tank if you are dry camping. Also, you should never tow with full tanks, if at all possible. It's just a good idea. Water weighs 8 pounds a gallon. It throws the geometry of everything off. It's a lot of stress. Now, what's really cool about the late 2020 Silverskin J-Flight SLX that you're looking at here, this is the first generation of J-Flight SLX that has both a gas and electric and auto ignition and simultaneous use water heater. So if you want to, use the gas side, which gives you 11 gallons of hot water per hour, you just flick the switch. If you want to use the electric, which gives us about 7 gallons of hot water per hour, flick the switch. You can flick them at the same time to get just shy of 18 gallons of hot water per hour. And where that's nice is when you're going to have a couple people taking back-to-back camp showers. And you always try to minimize your water use, but that'll give you a couple showers back-to-back. Now, you don't want to leave them both on full time. If you're going to be in a park, what I recommend, leave the electric on all the time. And then if we're going to take back-to-back showers, flip on the gas, because the electric will maintain the heat in the tank, and then the gas will just help keep that recharge going as quickly as possible. And if you're going to be off-grid, then you're only going to use the gas side, and you do need a 12-volt battery to activate the DSI, which is direct spark ignition, in English, auto ignition. Right here, we can see the reset switches for our GFI circuits. Most RVs have 2. It's important for you to look around, get familiar with your RV, know where they're located. Because, let's say that there's an outlet back there. Well, you're plugging your hairdryer in and it's not working or something like that. Well, you might find that you need to reset the breaker switch over here, basically. But there's probably one for things on this side of the RV and one on the other side of the RV, including the outside. So keep that in mind. Microwave, pretty straightforward. That's actually going to be just like you have at home. Your oven down here is a little different, and thankfully, Jayco puts a nicer Furrion oven even here in their most basic SLX products. Couple things. First of all, you don't cook on top of the glass, and it's still mind-boggling to me how many times we've shared that recently and how many people are doing it. That is where you're cooking. Now, it's kind of nice here. You've got 3 burners. The left switch where the fire symbol is, that is your sparker for all 3 of them. You can actually see it sparking when we do that. Now, what you're going to do to light one of these is you're going to push in on this, move it over to the flame symbol, and then spark. Bam, that's all there is to it. And then you can push in and adjust your flame as you need to. Now, cool thing here. These 2 are low output burners. That's a high output burner. And, the little indicators here show you which burner you're using. If the RV's been in storage a while, what you want to do is light this one and burn it hard and burn it hot, and you'll bleed a lot of those air bubbles out of there. Now, oven right below that. Couple things. We've got a little switch here which activates these little knob lights and the internal light. So if you want to see if your, cookies or biscuits or whatever are done, you can do so. Now, Furrion ovens are one of the only RV ovens where that sparker will also spark the pilot light here. Now, to do this, you need 2 hands, and I only have 1. So bear with me as I talk through it, and I can't completely demonstrate. Similar to the top burners, you're going to push in and put this over to the flame symbol. That's basically the pilot. Now, we're not actually getting propane in the oven at this point. That's because it won't actually start doing that until you turn the sparker. Once there's a little sensor down here, once it detects spark, it will then start flowing propane. So you might have to, do that 4 or 5 times. It's cool. That's what it's made for. You're not going to wear it out. Now, you're going to hold, so what we're going to do, we're going to push that to the flame symbol, keep this pushed in, spark several times until the little pilot light down here lights. What you're going to do then is stop sparking, but keep this depressed. After about 10 seconds, let off slowly. the pilot light should stay lit. If it doesn't, try a couple more times. If that doesn't work, re-spark this. Now, if nothing lights, chances are you just forgot to turn on your propane on the bottles. Now, once that pilot is lit and steady and you've let go of this, you just turn the knob to whatever temperature you want to go to and go to town. Refrigerator. These are very simple. They work a little bit differently at home, but a little bit the same too. There's two modes here, auto and gas. Most of the time you're going to leave this on auto, and you're probably never even going to think twice about it. What auto is going to do is it will say first, do I have 110 electric, which is park power. So if the camper is plugged in or if you have a generator plugged in, that's the kind of power this needs. This is not a 12-volt fridge. If it can't detect that, it'll go, okay, I'm going to automatically, magic, right, turn over to gas mode. It'll ignite the propane system, which can give you off-grid capacity. Now, you can just force it to gas, but most of the time you're going to leave it on auto and just let it sort itself. The other thing here is if it's on auto and you lose power, it'll automatically pick up to gas mode, and if you regain power, it'll automatically convert back to electric mode. Now, this says gas check if flashing. When it goes to gas mode, whether manually or automatically, if it fails to light 3 times in a row, that will flash. All you do, turn it to off, wait a little bit, turn it back to auto, and it'll go back through its normal cycle. If that continues to happen, again, well, first, please make sure you have your propane bottles opened up, or secondly, go back to burning this. It might take a couple times, especially your first trip or two out. By the way, these little guys right here, this is like a little seasonal lock. What you don't want to do is keep it in closed space like that, sealed, because you'll open this thing up and it's going to look like a petri dish in there. So when it's stored, you want to use these little storage locks and then go back to it. Now, if you're not going to be camping for a while, anytime you're not going to be camping for a while, basically, you want to leave those cracked open like that. I've seen some people put like a little rag over the thing. Anything works, I suppose. No big deal. Down here, we have our converter, kind of our power control system. At your house, you'd call this your breaker box. These are like your household breakers, and these are the things that require 110 household power, park power. These over here, these blade fuses, are the 12-volt systems. And if you ever need to replace one of these little guys over here, these are little LED indicators. It'll be a red light. And by the way, I mean, if you look through this, it tells you exactly what everything is. It's not something you need to be scared about. But if you don't know what it is, call a professional. Call us. That's part of what you get at Haylett RV is continued service after the sale, you know. Where are we at? Air conditioner right above me. Let me spin you around like a record, baby. You got a neat little central air dump right here. It will drop all the cold air in this room. And it's good for limited use. When you first get somewhere, and you want to get your main living cabin cooled off real quick, open that up. Maybe for half hour, whatever, but then shut it back down. You don't want to do that full time because you'll actually freeze up your condenser and the system will shut down. When you shut those vents, it will redirect the air back through our central air system like you see right here. And it is neat that you can both turn and close these AC vents, especially at this like level and price point. That's a neat little Jayco thing. From there, we're going to move back to our thermostat. Now, what is nice is that this is controlling our air and our heat, our fan, everything. And basically what you're going to do is just bump the mode button till you get to whatever you want, furnace, off, air, and then you're going to adjust the temperature up and down. However, it's important not to look at these numbers and take them for gospel. Unlike a residential central air system, which will generally be able to get to the specific temperature you request, RV air and heating systems work relative to ambient temperature. So if you set this thing at 60 degrees, but it's 100 outside, the air conditioner is never going to get down to 60 degrees. Just think of it as cold, colder, coldest, just like the refrigerator. Our stereo stuff over here, pretty straightforward. DVD, you pop it in, BT for Bluetooth, clock mode. I mean, chances are you don't need a lot of assistance here. You do have inside-outside speaker zone 1 and 2. You're going to have to just push the buttons. You know, like when you get a new house and you got to flick the light switches to figure out what they do? It's kind of like that. You'll figure out which zone is which zone. Just remember at night if you're watching a loud movie or something, turn your outside speakers off. It is nice, too, that Jayco does go ahead and run an HDMI cable off the back of this, so should you choose to add a flat screen, well, the cable's already run. You don't have to try to fish anything through here. I know a lot of people are not comfortable with that, but you got like a Roku stick or something, you could also plug it in right there. Pretty darn cool. If you choose to go satellite crazy, that's what this little jumper is up here. But the one thing I really want to point out is if you do add a TV, there's a little switch right there that activates and deactivates that green light. And basically what you're selecting, this is called an antenna signal booster, but basically what you're doing is you're selecting, do I want the antenna off the roof to send signal to the TV, or do I want the park cable? It's a cable or antenna TV selector, and that's the simplest way I think I can describe it. Let's see here. Let's start moving our way around. I've never done a full one of these myself. I think we're getting along just fine. Bathroom, toilet. Works different than at the house. You're going to do the same thing to it, but it's going to work a little bit different. And what you want to do with a camper toilet, you see there's always a little bit of water in there. That's good. That's helping prevent backflow of odors. When you're going to do your business, partially depress, because it's a two-stage pedal. You push it halfway down and it will start to give you some water. You want to water load the toilet before you load it with something else. And there's a reason for that. So basically we'll go through the steps. Get some extra water in there, do your business, and then fully depress this, and then hold it for, I don't know, a good 5 count, and then let go. And what that's going to do, you want, especially if you have to, do number 2 in the bathroom, if some people don't allow that in their campers, if you do, you want to make sure that you're providing enough liquid content to go with your solid content so that you don't have a buildup, because that's bad news. One other thing I want to point out here in the shower is you've got a little flow controller kind of guy on here. You know, this thing can turn and allow more or less water. When you're taking a little camper shower, you have limited water most of the time. And even if you are on park hookups, you have a limited gray tank capacity. So you want to make sure that you're not using too much water. So what you're going to do is get yourself wetted down, turn the water off. And it'll always dribble. It has to dribble a little bit. I won't get into why, but the dribbling's fine, basically. Unless you've had one too many beers. So, turn the water off. Get yourself soaped up, turn it back on, rinse off, shut it down. You want to use as little water as possible. And I think other than the fact we got our vent fan up here, you can turn it on anytime. But if you don't actually use the crank and open the vent, well, it ain't doing you a whole lot of good, just other than making noise. Now from the bathroom, turning around, moving our way forward, I do like that privacy wall. That's a custom option that we added here at Haylett RV. The dinette, if you want to fold that down to a sleeper, very simple. You just remove those pedestal legs, the table drops down onto a couple runners, and then our back cushions become the bottom mattress, basically, on top of the dinette. The sofa, if you want to fold that down, also very simple. Get your hand under it right here. Then as you lift, it'll just kind of drop in place. Now, when you're putting it back, people get here and they start going, and this is trickier with one hand. But what you want to do is take your hand and reach back here and pull forward, and it'll just drop. Now, another cool thing is you might have noticed there's storage here. If you get that thing kind of at the sweet spot, it'll hold itself and make accessing that much, much more easy. Okay, moving forward here in the bedroom, there's not a whole lot to really write home about in here. A couple things you can add a TV in here, and it is nice that they don't just put a sticker on the wall and say, hey, put a TV here. Well, they actually give you the bracket, although I do think it's funny. I'm just kind of realizing it's weird that they do it in the bedroom, but not up there where it makes the most sense. But I don't know. I don't have it all figured out. It doesn't always have to make sense. I think it's because in some campers, TVs are standard and some they're not. So they give you a TV bracket in the bedroom regardless. But TV power, TV coax, ain't complicated. What I want to show you in here, though, is safety thing right here. God forbid you ever need to take a head-first dive out the camper to get away from a fire, because for some reason you can't get to that front door that we already saw. I want you to know how to do this. So, first of all, for safety, if it ever comes down to it, I hope it doesn't, you're going to grab this red handle, rip that sucker out, throw it over your shoulder, then lift, twist, push. Now, everything's a little sticky because it just came out of our wash bay, but in the case of a fire, you're going to like hit this thing hard. You're going to fully push it out the window, the whole thing. And then, because the screen won't be there, you can get yourself out. Head first is easiest. It might not feel the best when you land, but A jammed up shoulder is better than a burned up face. Now, the other thing is, just like I've done here, there's a notch. It's an egress window. It tilts open. You can use it for great airflow. It's also really handy in the rain. When you're done, pull it back in, lock it back down, and you're good to go. I am not left-handed, am I? Good gravy, Batman. Oh, these shades. Over time, these strings could stretch or fray a little bit. There's all kinds of different tutorials on YouTube. Basically, you just might have to re-string some tension into them here and tighten that down. It is not a complicated thing. Like, I'm an idiot when it comes to tools. I got it done in about 5 minutes. It ain't hard. Back outside, starting from the front, working our way back. Just a little housekeeping note. I see people leave their 7-way plugs just dangling in the dirt all the time. Don't do that. That is the lifeline between your trailer and your truck. If that thing is dirty and you're not getting good connections, you ain't getting trailer lights, you ain't getting trailer brakes. It's dumb. Keep it up out of the dirt like that. Little side mount solar prep plug, should you choose to be so inclined. Get a little Go Power panel. We can assist you with that at Haylett RV, even have something sent right to your house. But first, the breakaway switch right here. This is another one of those safety things I hope you never have to really learn about. But what you want to do is, where this hooks up to your truck, you've got a little pin that goes through the truck's receiver hitch. That is where I want you to hook this. I see some people wrap it in and hook it onto the chains. But if this doesn't break away, then it's not going to do its job. And what that job is if that gets pulled out, it will fire the brakes on the trailer. So that if the truck and the trailer ever do happen to separate from one another, then it will do something to try to get the trailer brought down from like highway speeds or whatever, which is obviously very scary. This is an emergency, oh my God, device. I hope you never got to worry about it though. Working our way up here, dual propane tanks with an auto regulator. I mentioned turning the propane off a couple times inside. Very simple. Lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. You know, there you go. On-off, just like anything else. And the way that you select your switch is very simple. See a little black guy? How it's pointing at this one or this one? That's a tank selector. Now you see how that little eyeglass in there, I don't know if it's really even showing up on camera because we got kind of rough lighting. But if it's green, you're good to go, you got gas. If it's red, you ain't got any gas. Now, one of the nice things about working with us here at Haylett RV is that you're getting full propane tanks and a battery in a box at no additional charge. That's something that we do on all of our new RVs for our RV customers. And I will tell you that if it's going to be, the RV is going to be in storage or not being used for a while, I do recommend actually disconnecting the battery. If it's summertime and it's still warm outside, just open the box and disconnect it when you're done, so that the 12-volt devices inside that always draw a little bit, like even your stereo, it's never off. It's always pulling from the battery a little bit. That will keep the battery from getting completely depleted, which is really bad on the battery. If it's going to be stowed for winter, take it inside someplace warm and dry. And, you know, ideally, like in a garage with a little battery tender or something like that. Those things will do wonders for your RV. Now, I didn't specifically show you like, hey, here's how you work the awning, because it's a power awning. You push one button, it opens. You push one button, it closes. I got pretty good faith that you're going to figure that one out. Quick note on our stabilizer jacks, because they're just that. They're stabilizer jacks. They're not leveling jacks. You don't, you know, balance out a left to right, front to back leveling situation with your jacks. These are only here to keep the trailer from rocking and rolling around as people move around or jump around inside. You basically are going to just take them down to the ground to the point where they make a snug connection and let them go. That's all they got to do. Now, once again, even though this is what a lot of people call an entry-level trailer, Jayco has put a very nice water heater on it. It's the nicest water heater available in this class and category, hands down. It's a very underappreciated facet of a J-Flight SLX, and it's true even on their little 7-foot wide campers, by the way. And it's easy. You just use the two switches inside, gas or electric. There's no switches outside. There's no resets. It does everything for you. But before you do any of that, before you ever turn this on, one of the things you need to do is you need to come out here and very slightly touch that. That is the top of the water heater tank. So if a little bit of water sloshes out, that means that you've actually got water in the tank. You do not want to be heating the water heater without water in the tank to be heated. You'll just burn up your elements. Swinging around the back side here, we got our, we call it the Darth Vader helmet, little Furion backup camera prep thing. It's a very easy plug and play device. If that's something that you're interested in, give us a call. We can get one sent to your doorstep, slap one on for you, whatever the case may be. Those are very simple things. And really, we're just about done. This is a simple camper, and it's pretty straightforward. It kind of just sets the tone for everything else that Jayco puts together. So as we're rolling along the side here, we got ourselves a little outside camp shower. That works exactly the same as the shower inside, but I love its positioning right here next to our sewer stuff. I do want to walk you through operating this, though, because this is an area that a lot of people get really spooked about if they've never done it before. So, before you ever touch this, what I want you to do is go over to your campsite or the dump station at the campground, whatever it may be, and get that end of the hose situated first. Bring the hose with the bayonet connector over here and set it down right next to this, so that when you pop that cap, let's say, God forbid, you didn't realize one of those valves was already open because some neighbor kid grabbed them when they shouldn't have. You have your hose here. You should be wearing gloves. You can very quickly get it attached, and then you've got a small thing to clean up and not a big bad thing to clean up. So you get it all connected. First, pull your black tank. Do not leave these open full time. That's a good way to let your liquid run off, let your solid build up, and it's going to suck. You want to leave these closed until they're at least about a third, 2/3 full. If you notice you're taking a shower and the water's not going down the drain, your gray tank's full. You don't even got to check the monitor. Congratulations, you solved the crime. But you want to pull your black tank first. You're going to hear slug, glug, 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 glug. Give it some time. Then pull your gray valve. Because your gray valve is shower and sink runoff water. It's basically soapy water. It's a little bit dirty, but it's basically soapy water. That will help flush your hose and everything out. Then close your gray tank valve. Then you can close your black tank valve, disconnect, do a little quick cleanup if you need to, put your cap back on. Good to go from there. Working our way forward, you can see that the power cable of this one is built into the camper. I call it a knuckle buster because when that thing's cold, it is a little bit tricky to feed in and out, but it's also nice that you don't accidentally leave your power cord behind somewhere. So there's a push and a pull there. City water connection. If you are at a campground and they have a water spigot, if you have city water service, you use this, which means you are bypassing the freshwater tank and you are not using the 12-volt water pump because the pressure in the lines is actually pushing the water through your camper. But if that's not the case, you come over here. That is our freshwater fill for the freshwater tank. So you're going to take your garden hose, you're going to fill that guy up until it kind of splashes out at you. Don't worry, it doesn't hurt it if there's a little too much water in there. And then, cap it off. Then you're going to activate the 12-volt water pump off that switch inside, and then you've got your water service. Now that is our furnace exhaust. You'll see a similar thing for the water heater exhaust on the other side. We already saw the water heater. That is where he's saying sometimes bugs like to get in there and block that thing up, and that can trigger your CO detector. Just get one of those cheap little screens, hook it up there. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure and a lot of peace of mind. And there you have it. Pretty easy, right? It's really not complicated stuff. If something isn't moving the way you want, don't try to force it. If it's not lighting, make sure you got propane. You know, it's some very simple common sense stuff. And if you're the person that bought this camper and you need a little bit more assistance, you got a whole lot more waiting for you here at Haylett RV. Just give us a call. If you're not the person that bought this camper and you want to learn more about how these things work, well, give us a call here at Haylett RV. Give us a chance to earn your business. And obviously, every single customer, we're willing to put this level of personal customized service in place for you. So take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.